What's up guys, Turbo Lost Zone is currently a staple of the standard format. It seems like this version is the best variant of the Lost Zone engine right now. Personally I've been playing a ton of it myself, having played it to UIC, so I thought I'd share my knowledge with a matchup guide, so enjoy the video guys. Alright, so don't mind the gameplay in the background. Yeah, just a game I played a couple days ago, but we're gonna get straight into the matchup guide. I've got a few matchups we have to talk about. The first one's gonna be the Lost Zone Mirror. Lost Zone Mirror, like, super important to know what you're doing. So, with Turbo, you gotta think about the advantage you have. The advantage you have is you're very, very fast to Sableye. The Zard version is about the same speed to Sableye, but you don't have, if you're playing against the Zard version, you don't have to match Manaphy, which is super strong. Knowing to match Manaphy, you get the board space open. They have less targets for Sableye later, so usually you can survive against them, even if you're down in, if you get ahead in prizes, you can survive and make sure you never take two prizes. But it doesn't really matter for Turbo, because you have Clara, you have Sableye. The one thing you don't have is you don't have Roxanne, and most other Lost Zone variants will have Roxanne, assuming you're not playing the Turbo Mirror. So you gotta play around Roxanne. Don't go into 3 as early as fast as possible. A lot of the time you can hold out for a few turns, or at least one turn, and not take an extra prize and just keep spreading damage with Sableye if that's the point of the game you're at. Also, not killing stuff can sometimes be good, but I would advise against it unless you actually know what you're doing. Yeah. Like, if they're board locked, you can just not kill anything for a large portion of the game, if not the entire game. Like, if they board locked themselves without a Sableye on board, you can just start to damage everything else. This is very uncommon, because they don't really have a lot of Pokemon that they need to bench. If you're running Echoing Horn in Turbo, which I personally don't, and I wouldn't recommend. There's the link in the description, by the way, you can find it. This time I'll actually have the right list, immediately, so, yeah. But basically, I mean, it just comes down to attack with Sableye as fast as possible. The damage you want to do is kill Manaphy, 50 to Comfy. Kill Manaphy, kill 50 to Comfy. This will be like almost every single time, especially on like turn 3 or like your first Sableye will always be doing this much damage. And I'll tell you why. You want to put 50 to Comfy, because then if they heal at once, then you can kill Comfy plus their other Comfy with Sableye, or Comfy plus Manaphy if they recover it. So you got to keep that in mind. You got to do that. Another like Lost Zone match you can play against is Tina. I mean, it's sort of just the same thing, but a lot of the time I think you're not supposed to kill a Dragonite immediately on their Giratina if they go for that play, because you can get Roxanne Sableye back, and a lot of the time they can actually claw back. Like if they were for a very early Giratina attack, you go Dragonite into it, Roxanne you. It can be difficult. It depends a lot on what's going on in the rest of the game. So context is very important here, but yeah, you can definitely don't be scared to avoid taking your max amount of prizes on any turn. Sableye is super strong, setting up damage. Like you can usually count on 2 Sableyes taking 3 prizes, if not 4. 3 Sableyes taking 4 prizes. That's something you can always count on. And like sometimes they also won't be able to recover Manaphy, so you can Greninja. Stuff like that is super important in the Lost Zone Mirror. Now the next matchup we're going to talk about is Guardy, and then this matchup is super good for a lot of reasons. So Gardevoir is super slow, so you get to take the first 2 prizes usually. Turbo Lost Zone is really, really good at getting early Cramorant. Very, very good at getting early Cramorant, and very, very good at getting early Sableye. There's a lot of games where the Forest Seal Stone, literally just the Forest Seal Stone on its own, saves you so much. Also, with Lost Zone, don't be scared to put Vs down. It's very hard for another Lost Zone to actually punish you. They have to find boss, which a lot of them, I mean, I guess it is actually not hard for a lot of Lost Zones to punish you. But if you have to go for it, you have to go for it. And if you get a Sableye turn early, especially if you're winning prize race, a lot of the time the deficit that you get from the 2 prizes isn't actually that big of a deal. And if you calculate it properly, like for example, I remember, like, I mean, if they're on 3 prizes, right, they Sableye putting damage on your board, and like, if they're on 3 prizes, you can just bench Dragonite a lot of the time, because they would be able to take 3 prizes in 2 turns anyways. They'd be able to Sableye, and then Sableye again, or Sableye Greninja. Usually, a lot of the time in the late games, you don't have enough heal cards. So you would be able to get there anyway. They would be able to get that many prizes anyways. So you can just bench a V and Forest Stone to it. And in reality, it ends up like working out if you can play down even earlier in the game, and it still be fine a lot of the time. Not always. It's very situational. And it's impossible for me to tell you every situation. But back to God of War. Yeah, if you can just Sableye early, you're usually really good. The key in this matchup is to target the Curliers and not the Manaphy. Because the Manaphy generally actually doesn't end up mattering that much when they can just evolve all their Pokemon. And so even though they do have difficulties getting back the Manaphy, a lot of the time they're just going to be able to play around it, and then you don't have the Manaphy on board later in the game. And you can run out of ways to take prizes. The one thing you don't want to do is run out of ways to take prizes. You don't want them to have nothing with damage, like their Cresselia's gone, their Manaphy's gone, and you just have nowhere to take prizes. They're gonna use Cresselia. You got to be aware of that. They're gonna try and make your hand worse because that's what they're trying to do. Try not to attack with Cram into Cresselia, but it is super bad. It is so bad if you attack with Cram into Cresselia. They get to like heal a bit, and even though you can Sableye, it's just not great. They can collapse, they can penny, they can do so much on their Cresselia. I don't know, it feels terrible. And then talking about the Mewtwo V Union, it's the same strategy, but if you start seeing the Mewtwo pieces like get into the discard pile, what you want to do is simply just bench Drapion, Mirage Gate to it, hopefully double gate to it, because you shouldn't need your gates for much else. You should be crammed to Sableye most of the time. Obviously, if you can Dragonite to kill a Gardevoir EX, or even Drapion to kill a Gardevoir EX, I mean, that's so uncommon in this matchup. You don't actually end up using the Drapion. Sometimes you use Dragonite, though, to kill Gardevoir EX. It really does just depend. Like, you can put extra 20 damage on the Gardevoir, kill it with Dragonite. My current list is playing 2 boss. You'll see in the description if you go look. But and that's really one of the best ways to get prizes, because you basically just have to take a prize every turn. If you can take one prize every single turn for the entirety of the game, you will win. Well, not always, but most of the time you will win. So as long as you get to Sableye fast, and you have to play around Roxanne. You have to like set up 2 Sableyes, create your checkmate situations. Yeah. Sableye active, Sableye bench, both of energy. It's going to be super hard for them to actually come back from a spot like that. Because, yeah, you just have so much time. Even if they Roxanne, like, you just have the second Sableye. And, especially if you get late enough in the game where you've already taken, like, 4 prizes. Even if you're just taking one prize a turn with Sableye, it's fine. Kill the Cresselia, it's fine. Killing the Cresselia is super nice because they do run out of good ways to attack. Because there is a threat of Drapion. This is normal Gardevoir, by the way, I'm talking about. They do have a threat of Drapion. They have a lot of. You do have enough threats. This matchup is super easy if you get set up. The issue is not getting set up, but it actually doesn't happen that often. Usually they're going to sacrifice their Mew to your turn 1. I don't think them sacrificing Greninja is actually super helpful. It usually gets picked off anyways. It's hard for them to collapse that early into the game, and even if they do, can't use Collapse for something else. But I think that this is God of War's worst matchup, and you should take advantage of it. You have a lot of options in the matchup. So Lugia. Now, in my opinion, this is Turbo Lawson's worst matchup, and it's pretty hard in reality to actually tech that hard for this matchup. Tropius is cool. Tropius plus Grass Energy. Be a committing energy slot, and it's. I mean, just committing 2 slots to the Tropius, like, what are you cutting? The bosses? The bosses are really good, in general. Cool thing against Lost Energy, you can boss Manaphy early, but, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. But, in this matchup, so you have you have few options, and basically the goal is, you need to separate your mind into thinking of taking prizes as taking them as 2. So, like, a Greninja plus a Sableye, that might take 2 prizes, might not, but it's a way to take 2 prizes, or Greninja plus 2 Sableyes, or Cramorant attack into Serena plus Sableye. And your goal is to take, I mean, it's simply just to take 4 prizes, take 6 prizes before they do, but you have to separate it into 2, because what's going to happen is they're going to get to 1 prize, but you want to win taking 2 prizes on the final turn. So do you like jump over them? Because that's usually what's gonna happen. Um, so you need to set it up with Dragonite. You can kill Serena. Killing Serena is really good. But a lot of the time, what'll happen is you'll take 2-1 prizes. Quote by Brent, who's really good at this deck. Is the player who uses their Mirage Gate, who can find 2 prizes without using Mirage Gate, is a player who's like good at this deck. Um, I don't know. It was something like, you know what? I don't remember the quote, but he was basically what he was saying is if you can avoid using Mirage Gates, it's super good. If you can avoid using Mirage Gate and get 2 prizes out of like cram into Sableye, even 3 attacks, that's fine. It's all you have to do is 3 attacks, then you take 2 prizes with Raikou. They kill you back. They've taken 5 prizes. You've taken 4. Final KO goes into literally anything. I mean, you can Raikou, you can D-Knight. It depends how you spread your damage, but so if they board lock Greninja into Sableye, super good. Your aim in this matchup is to take 3 prizes. What is it? Take 2 prizes in 3 attacks, but that includes the cram attack, so it's a bit difficult. And like Stonjourner as well, putting damage on Stonjourner is super good. Like going like Greninja and then Sableye on Stonjourner. Like Greninja to Sableye, like yeah, on Stonjourner as well is super good. But yeah, you're trying to use as little Mirage Gates to get these prizes. So I don't think that the strategy in this matchup that's ever gonna win you the game is to go 2-2-2. You can start with 2. You can go like Raikou, they kill you, you attack and then attack, but the issue is you have to take 2 prizes so fast. But yeah, the one thing you have in this matchup is that when they're on 1 prize and you're on 2, you can win, they can't. That's the one thing you have to take advantage of to have any chance in this matchup. Because a simple prize race, the Lugia just wins. And this matchup is super tough because Judge is so strong against you. But there are definitely things you can do. To try to win this, to try to beat the Lugias and come up with a winning prize race. Yeah. And it just comes down to using Cram, Sableye, and Greninja. Those 3 attacks to take 2 prizes. It's during the game, which I mean it's relatively tough. Like if you can Cram connect on a Stonge on turn 1, that's the best attack. What I've found is that obviously, if you can cram into T-Tar, it's pretty good. But if you're cramming into Lugia, it does nothing. It literally achieves nothing. You can kill with Dragonite, cool. You're just gonna lose anyways because you haven't done enough damage to take prizes. So, yeah. Also, killing Luminion's super nice. Like, yeah, Greninjaing Luminion, then killing it. That's 2 attacks, 2 prizes. Perfect. Because basically, what you need to do is you need your Dragonite and your Raikou to take 2 prizes each. I mean, I've basically been trying to explain this, but yeah. Um, so that's the Lugia matchup. Super complicated matchup. To be honest, I don't know what I'm doing half the time. And it's one of the it's definitely the weakest matchup for this deck, but it's definitely one of the hardest matchups to play as well. And so if I was like thinking of reasons to avoid loss zone, it'd be because of this matchup, because the Lugia matchup is tough. So next matchup, Meridon. I mean, I talk about Meridon in all these videos, but Meridon is very good. Like in general, honestly, if you attack with your attacks, you should just win. Dragonite's super good. Just Sableye, sub some damage. You can kill Cliff with Sableye. If you run Mawile, which is something I've seen, something I tried myself. Mawile is a way to help against Lugia. But I don't know. Like it's very easy for them to play around it, and like if they actually know it's there, it feels like it barely gives you any advantage if they actually know it's there. If they don't know it's there, they could easily be running a tech card like Thornton, which all the Duraludon lists are playing these days. So I wouldn't run Mawile, but if you are running Mawile, you can Mawile the Klefki, which is super cool. And then you can kill with Scratch on the Sableye, which is interesting. But yeah, Meridon, Klefki's gonna be either Turbo, they're gonna be Turbo or Klefki. Turbo's super easy. Just like, you get 1 attack with Cram onto a 220 HP Pokemon, like hopefully a Meridon. You kill it later with Sableye, then you go into D-Knight, then you're going into Raikou. You can use your bosses as well in this matchup. Super, super convenient. And I mean, it's pretty hard to end up on the losing end of a prize trade. They're gonna use Lightning Wall is their best attack. But you can like Sableye poke it twice is fine, and you can take 3 prizes on a regular VMAX if they evolve it. If they don't, then you're just killing it with Sableye. It's not too great for them. So You can also just go around. You can rope around the lightning wall. Rope boss cram is a play you can make. I mean, there's so many plays you can make against Meridon. You're not gonna win every game because lightning wall plus judge is actually annoying. You don't have great ways to get through it if you can't get to Sableye. But generally gonna be fine. Most of the time. The next matchup is Mew. So the strategy for this matchup is, I think you almost always, if you're not running Sky Stone, you're almost always going to be killing 2 VMAXs. And there are a lot of ways to do this. So they usually run a low counter velocity, if any. So yeah, you can just go like Drapion, and then once they Roxanne, you're trying to build. You have a couple turns to build towards Clara, because you can just immediately nuke their Mew on when they're on 5 prizes. They don't go down to 3, and then you have a couple turns to build it up. Otherwise, you can go 60-60 to both Mews, and they psychic leap 1. You kill the second one with Dragonite, and then you have Drapion for game later. But yeah, a lot of the time they will stumble in the mid game is what I've found with this matchup. So you can just go like a Drapion, they only hit Judge and not Roxanne, or you actually power up the Drapion with energies, and then they have path in play they have to deal with. There's a lot of things that can go wrong from there, and a lot of things that can go wrong from your end as well. I think this matchup is incredibly close, like probably 50-50 to be honest. But you have a lot of, but yeah, I would say you just have to work out how to use the Drapion, and just make sure if they're Fusion Mew though, then it's a little bit easier. You can go cram kill well, it's not that much easier, but you have a different prize trade, because you go cram kill the Melwetta, or you Sableye down the Deoxys is a bit more annoying, but something else you can do. If you're on Sky Stone, this matchup is a little bit easier, but also the Forest Seal Stone is very good, like just to use against them, right? You Drapion, you Forest Seal Stone if you got a Mirage Gate, or you got to get the Stadium, or you got a Colress, or you got anything. Like, it's just a free card on the turn, which is so nice. Can't be understated. But yeah, I don't know, but yeah, Fusion, kill the Melwetta, kill a Genesect, kill Mew. Or you can do it the other way around, who cares? Usually I would say if you have the Drapion attack in hand, you almost always have to go for it. But this doesn't mean that you can't set up like a Mirage Gate behind it. So like if you go Drapion active, Dragonite on bench, Mirage Gate to it, or even Raikou. I mean, Raikou is actually a perfectly fine attacker in this matchup. Drapion, Raikou, Mirage Gate to it, attack with Drapion, right? They kill your thing, you punch them with Raikou the next turn. They then kill your Raikou, and you say by kill them, you GG's, you win, right? Does 200 damage. The Raikou does 200 damage, right? So that's how you beat. That's what I would say against Mew. Next matchup is Goodra. Goodra's. I think this matchup is favored for Turbo Lawson. A lot of people have a different opinion, but I think this matchup is pretty favored for Turbo Lawson. They usually will bench 4 1 prizes, and if they do, it feels so free. You only have to use 1 Dragonite. Miles is running 2 boss, so I can escape her. So escape her boss is super strong against them. And yeah, but like obviously you can just Sableye, put 20 damage only, so you can like kill a Comfy, put some damage elsewhere, maybe to Greninja. Putting damage to Greninja is pretty good because you can kill it later. It's difficult to kill it later otherwise, and you can put 20 damage to the active, and they're like, well, it's only 20 damage. What I have to do? Well, you do have to respond to it because it's dead next turn, right? So, yeah, Goodra matchup feels very straightforward. It's kind of just an attack with your attacks matchup. They hit you with Cram, you kill their Cram. You can Greninja their Comfies, and then you somehow set up to kill their Greninja and they're active, or you can sort of Sableye, worked that out. There's so many things you can do in this matchup. I'd say it's pretty favored, and the idea also, you can go for like Sky Seal Stone if you have that, but I think Forest Seal Stone basically just does the same thing. And so yeah, that's all the matchups I wrote down. Hope you enjoyed the video, learned something about some of these matchups, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.